what is Burp Suite? Okay, Burp Suite is basically a collection of tools bundled into a single suite made for application security testing. But basically, it is a man in the middle proxy kind of thing. Okay, so what it does is it's a proxy intercepting tool. So what it does is, you know, it would be when you configure a Burp Suite with your browser, what will happen is every request which your browser makes to the server could be intercepted. Okay, it could be intercepted in the sense like we could block it, we could then let allow a particular request, or we can even modify that request and then send it, or like we can play with that request in different ways. So that is what basically Burp Suite is used for. Now you would be able to see when we make a request from browser with username and password, Burp Suite would be able to intercept that, and we would be able to see the username and password in plain text. Okay, that is basically when you get a post request by providing a username and password, the username and password parameters would be there and its corresponding values. That is what you would be able to see in plain text. But don't misunderstand that you have successfully hacked into someone's account when you are able to see the username and password, because you won't be able to see someone else's username and password. You are able to see that because you have configured your browser to send all the requests through a particular port number on which we have configured our Burp Suite to listen on that particular port. Okay, now since you have your Burp Suite configured to listen on that particular port, and you also have your browser configured to send all the requests through this same particular port, you are able to intercept and request. Okay, now you won't be able to do that for someone else's browser unless you have a physical access to that browser, and then you configure that person's browser to send every request through the port on which you are listening with your Burp Suite. Okay, so don't misunderstand that you are successfully hacked or something like that. Then what is it used for? Okay, now you see, one reason to use Burp Suite is, there are a lot of JavaScripts in every websites now. Okay, now certain JavaScripts make a request and they load different plugins, they load different images, they execute a lot of functionalities and all those. But there are also certain JavaScript which do validations. Okay, validations in the sense, for example, if you take when you type in when you're creating a new account, type in your username. Now there are two situations. One is that when you type in a username and you type submit, you click on submit, the request goes, and then you get a response from server saying that this username is already taken, or it's not available, or something like that. Okay, or when you type in a user password, after pressing submit, it says that this password doesn't meet certain requirements, like it doesn't have this character, it doesn't have this symbol. Another situation is like right when you start typing a password, there would be an error even before submitting that, even before sending that request to the server. It will say that it's not yet safe, add that, and like right when you type in, it says that whether this password is valid or not, even before sending that request to the server and the server processing it. So that is done by JavaScript. JavaScripts take care of verifying your input in the client side itself. Okay, so when you use Burp Suite, once you intercept a particular request, there won't be any JavaScript playing there. So what happens is all sort of client side validation can be bypassed by using Burp Suite. That is one thing. Then also you can see all different things which it is sending, like different parameters and its values. The parameters could be the normal text input field which you see, or it could be the parameters which you see in the URL, or you can also see the parameters which are hidden fields in the normal browser. Okay, so all those parameters would be visible to you in Burp Suite. Okay, and then you can forward it, you can make some changes, you can test whether, like, see, there would be some, if you see some request going, that username is Mishal, and the role of this user is user, and the request is going. If you intercept that with Burp Suite and replace that role equal to user with role equal to admin and then forward the request, you might be lucky and you could get a permission for the logged in user, that is Mishal, instead of the normal user, as it could get the permissions of that of admin. Okay, that might happen. So you can play with your request. That is what Burp Suite could be used for. Burp Suite could also be used for automating different requests. You know, like for example, there is an OTP requirement. Okay, now see, when someone asks OTP and as an attacker I don't know the OTP, what I would do is I'll try different values. In case of banks and all, you would see that these OTPs, after if we try 3 times, it will get blocked. But there are applications which lets more number of tries, or which lets unlimited number of tries. But you know, trying OTPs ranging from 00000 to 9999, that would be approximately 10,000 requests manually, is not so practical. But that could be automated with Burp Suite, and like could be done in some couple of minutes. So there are different uses of Burp Suite. That is the reason I mentioned it as the collection of tools bundled into a suite. But the primary use is Burp Suite acting as the proxy interceptor. Now let's get to some of the main features of Burp Suite. Now, as I said, it is an intercepting proxy which lets you inspect and modify traffic to a site. A web scanner for automating the detection of vulnerabilities is also available in Burp Suite, but it is only a scanner part of Burp Suite is only available in Pro version of Burp Suite. Then a repeater is available for manipulating and sending individual requests. Like you can intercept one individual request and manipulate it and see what is the response, all those things. That is what repeater is used for. A sequencer tool is there for testing the randomness of tokens. Like we make a lot of requests and collect all those tokens generated, and then we test how random it is, how these tokens are related. That is what a sequencer is used for. Then we have a comparer tool. Comparer tool is used basically like we make 2 requests and then we can compare that request, like what is the difference in each request. That is what comparer is used for. These are some of the most common tools used in Burp Suite. We'll see more once we start using Burp Suite. Okay. Now we need to configure Burp Suite. As I told, we need to configure Burp Suite to listen on a particular port, and we also need to configure our browser to send the request through that particular port. Okay, for that we have to download Burp Suite, or the Burp Suite is already pre-installed, comes in Kali Linux. So, and next requirement is a browser. We prefer Firefox browser here because, you know, in Firefox what we can do is like it has its own proxy settings. We can send like the request generated from Firefox through particular port. We can't do that in Chrome, like unless we have some different add-ons and all installed. Okay, so we'll use Firefox for that, and we will also be using Firefox add-on known as Foxy Proxy. Now this add-on I'll be using just to make it easier to switch between the proxy and no proxy mode. Like to switch into a proxy mode, we would have to access the network settings of Firefox and then set it to go through this particular port and this particular IP. But using an add-on like Foxy Proxy, I can switch to the proxy of Burp Suite, and I can switch back to the proxy of the normal system with an ease. That is what basically this add-on will be used for. So that makes this add-on an optional one. Just go through how to configure Burp Suite and Firefox. Okay, now first thing we would have to is listening on a port and IP address. That would basically, we would launch our Burp Suite and make it listen on an IP address and a port number. By default, it would be listening on the IP address 127.0.0.1, which is the local host, that is the own system itself, and it would be listening on the port number 8080. Okay, so that is the default part. Where you launch your Burp Suite and you will see it would be listening unless your port number 8080 is being used by some other application. Okay, you won't have to do those settings because it would be set by default. Next thing is, you would have to configure your Firefox to send all the requests through the IP address and the port number which this Burp Suite is listening. And after that, you will see when you access a site which is HTTP, you would be able to intercept the request. You might feel that nothing is working. That is because intercept is on by default when you start Burp Suite. Okay, intercept is on means it has intercepted that request and it has blocked it. It has not forwarded. That is, the Burp Suite has not forwarded. That is the reason you will see when you, after configuring both this Firefox and Burp Suite, you visit some site, that site keeps on loading, no response is sent. That is because that request, particular request which your browser made, didn't reach the server yet. It is being intercepted by the Burp Suite and kept it there. Okay, so you may switch back to Burp Suite and turn the intercept off, and you will see the page loads. But you will see only the pages websites which are HTTP will load. All the HTTPS websites won't be able to load. Now the reason basically is because of the certificate issue. Okay, because the certificate of Burp Suite is not trusted by your browser. We would have to add the certificate, CA certificate of Burp Suite to our browser. We'll see that in some time. And on a note, like, in case while starting Burp Suite, in case a warning message regarding that Java JR11 pops up saying that its JR11 is not compatible, that would not be an error message, that would be just a warning message, but that could cause a problem in later. So that is because basically Burp Suite is most compatible with JDK 8, Java Development Kit 8, and the Kali, latest Kali would be having JDK 11. Okay, so that is the reason what we will have to do is we would have to install JDK 8, and we would also have to configure all the applications to use JDK 8, because when we install JDK 8 and JDK 11 is already there, so every application would be using Java 11. Okay, for every application to use JDK 8, we would have to configure that. Now to do that, these are the basic commands. Sudo apt update. Now sudo is basically super user do. Okay, that means if you are not a root user, you have to use sudo. Even if you are a root user, you can use sudo, no problem. So basically when I'm using sudo as some other user who is not root, I'm basically executing this command as root. That is what sudo is used for. So sudo apt update. What this basically does is, this basically makes all the packages available, all the latest packages available to download. It doesn't download, it just only fetches the available. It checks whether the updates are available or not. So after sudo apt update, we have to install OpenJDK 8. So for that, we type in sudo apt install OpenJDK 8. Then like it will ask for your permission that this much of MB should be downloaded. Should you continue? Just click type in Y and enter. It will continue, and it will take some time, and JDK 8 would be installed. After JDK 8 is installed, next thing, as I said, we have to configure so that every application uses JDK 8. For that, the commands are like sudo update alternatives minus minus config java. Now when you type in this, something like it will pop up a selection where you would have to select the option which is related to OpenJDK 8. Most probably that would be option number 2. So just type in 2 and enter, and after that repeat a similar command, that is sudo update alternatives config java c, that is Java compiler. Now choose the same like OpenJDK option for that. That would be number 2 again. Just press number 2 and select. And that would be all. You have now configured your all the applications to use Java 8. So just to ensure that this thing has worked, what you just close your burp suite and open your burp suite again. You will see that the warning which says that JR11 is not supported, that won't come. So if that doesn't come, you have successfully configured. So hope you have understand the concept now.